Hey guys, Eddie here with a film I love. We all know Hollywood loves sequels.
We're doing a sequel. That's what we do in Hollywood. And everybody knows that the sequel's never quite as good.
Despite this being a generally accepted notion, there is an ever-growing list of exceptions to this rule. For me, one of the best examples is Tron Legacy. Released 28 years after the original, this sequel, in my opinion, surpasses its predecessor in every way. Incidentally, this is another of my top 5 favourite films. Before we begin, be warned this video will include spoilers. When the sequel was first announced, I was intrigued. At that point I hadn't seen the original, though I was certainly aware of its legacy. Pun intended. Tron was noteworthy for its pioneering use of computer-generated imagery. CGI has since become an incredibly common part of modern filmmaking, for better or for worse.
It's a dinosaur.
John Lasseter has been vocal about the film's influence on the making of the first Toy Story. Tron's significance to the film industry is undeniable. However, if we're being honest, the film hasn't aged terribly well. The visual effects, though groundbreaking at the time, no longer hold up.
Hey, who's that guy?
That's Tron. He fights for the users.
Tron.
Unlike some other effects-heavy blockbusters of the time, the characters and plot do little to overcome these shortcomings. Tron Legacy, on the other hand, has all of these things and more. With the benefit of nearly 3 decades advancement, the film's visual effects are vastly superior to that of its forebear. The iconic light cycles, for example, are much more fluid in movement. In fact, the film is filled with impressive visuals, including both digital and practical effects. Of course, the only effect people ever want to talk about is the digitally de-aged Jeff Bridges. Admittedly, the effect isn't flawless. Digital de-aging has certainly come a long way since 2010, with Disney remaining at the forefront. However, it's far from the horror show people make it out to be, and certainly isn't distracting enough to compromise the story being told. Beneath its sleek and flashy visuals, the film is, at its core, a character study, with a lot of heart. The characters are complex and realistic. They each have flaws they are forced to confront and overcome. Their relationships are also varied and interesting. The emotional core of the film is the relationship between Sam and his father.
You're here. I'm here.
We aren't even told the identity of Sam's late mother, because it doesn't matter to the story being told. Clue is an interesting antagonist, because technically he's not a villain. Though misguided, Clue's actions are the result of the younger Flynn's naivety.
Must have been something before Clue screwed it up.
No, he's me. I screwed it up. Chasing after perfection.
Clue is literally a poor reflection of Flynn himself. The complexity of their dynamic makes their confrontation at the film's climax quite emotional.
You promised that we would change the world together. You broke your promise. I know. I understand that now. I took the system to its maximum potential. I created the perfect system. The thing about perfection is that it's unknowable. It's impossible, but it's also right in front of us all the time. You wouldn't know that because I didn't when I created you.
The performances are layered, inviting multiple rewatches in order to fully appreciate what each character is thinking at any given moment. Jeff Bridges in particular conveys so much without speaking a word. Olivia Wilde imbues Cora with a delightful sense of innocence and naivety.
Do you attend a college?
Caltech.
Caltech. My alma mater.
Yeah. Till I dropped out.
However, she never comes across as either stupid or helpless. Her relationship with Sam develops naturally and feels genuine. Though the two clearly share a mutual attraction, the film never forces an overt romance. I can't talk about the performances without mentioning Michael Sheen as Castor. His brief appearance steals the film.
Libations for everybody! I'm Castor, your host, provider of any and all entertainments and diversions at your service.
Tron Legacy truly is the perfect title for this sequel. Given the time gap between films, there is a generational feel. It serves as a passing of the torch, both within the narrative and the real world. Despite this, the plot is fairly standalone. Kevin Flynn, Alan Bradley, and of course Tron himself are the only characters that appear in both films. I actually saw Legacy first. For all you purists out there, I have since watched the original Tron. Knowledge of the first film is beneficial, as there are a number of Easter eggs and references.
Now that is a big door.
Now that is a big door.
However, it certainly isn't necessary. The sequel can easily be appreciated on its own merits. The world of the film is well crafted. Flynn's arcade offers a sense of familiarity, while also fulfilling an important plot function. Despite having limited time to explore it, the grid feels like a functional and believable environment. The film doesn't spoon-feed audiences, but repeat viewings reveal further details and a richer history. The internal rules are both clear and consistent. For example, Clue's eventual defeat is foreshadowed early on.
How can he be so afraid of his own creation? I mean, he built Clue. Why doesn't he just end him?
He could, but it would require reintegration.
Yeah, all right.
Flynn would never survive the event. It would mean the end of them both.
The film manages to be epic without taking itself too seriously.
Between you and me, Jules Verne is my favorite. Do you know Jules Verne?
Sure.
What's he like?
Anyone familiar with Tron Legacy knows it is impossible to talk about the film without mentioning Daft Punk's incredible score. Their music is instrumental in creating the unique and distinctive digital world of the film.
Change the scheme, alter the mood. Electrify the boys and girls if you'd be so kind.
Honestly, this is one of my favourite soundtracks to listen to. The film's ending isn't reliant on a sequel. However, it is open-ended enough that one wouldn't feel forced.
What's next, Sam?
I guess we're supposed to change the world.
A third film, reportedly titled Tron Ascension, was talked about. However, this is sadly looking less and less likely. Regardless of whether or not a sequel does one day materialise, I adore this film. There is so much more to it than people give it credit for. If you're interested in seeing a more moment-by-moment appreciation, I recommend you watch CinemaWin's video, Everything Great About Tron Legacy. I'll put the link in the description. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Tron Legacy in the comments. Let me know how you think it compares to the original, and whether you'd like to see the franchise continue. Speaking of sequels, I'm actually currently working on one of my own. Back in 2015, I made a short film with some friends called Indecisive. To be honest, it's probably still the film I had the most fun making. If you haven't seen it, the link is in the description. The sequel is called Indecisive 2: Undecided. We're well into production now, and I'm excited to share more with you all in the coming months. If you liked this video, why not give it a thumbs up? Maybe share it with a friend. Or an enemy. Either way, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications to see more content here on Channel 73.